Hello, I'm Lucy Gray with a summary of the BBC World News. Thailand's King Maha Vajiralongkorn has been crowned in an elaborate ceremony to mark his accession to the throne. It's part of 3 days of rituals at the Royal Palace in Bangkok, intended to symbolise the transformation of the king into a divine being. James Landell reports.
This is a sight that few Thais have ever seen. A new king purifying himself with consecrated waters as he prepared to ascend to the throne. Maha Vajiralongkorn, or King Rama X as he's known more formally, became king in 2016 after the death of his father, who'd reigned for 70 long years. But he's waited until now to be crowned over 3 days of elaborate Buddhist and Hindu ceremony. To many Thais, the monarch is revered as an almost godlike figure, and some were on the streets dressed in royal yellow to see their king make the transition from the human to the almost divine. And for many, this was a rare glimpse of the sovereign who spends much time abroad and has appeared more remote than his much-loved late father. At 66 years old, he spent his life preparing for this moment, placing a crown weighing more than 7 kilograms on his head, issuing his first royal command.
I shall reign with righteousness for the benefit and happiness of the people forever.
King Vajiralongkorn has had a colourful and at times controversial life. Today, his fourth wife, whom he married only this week, was formally recognised as his new queen. He's protected by severe laws prohibiting any criticism, but some Thais hope that a crown prince, who was seen by some as unpredictable, will become a figure of stability for a country facing political uncertainty. For the king has real political influence. What will matter is his relationship with the army that took power in a coup in 2014, and what role he might play in the balance between military and civilian rule that emerges from recent elections. For this king will be more than just a spiritual leader. James Landell, BBC News.
North Korea has conducted a number of short-range missile tests for the first time since 2017. South Korea responded, warning Pyongyang not to raise military tension on the peninsula. And US President Donald Trump also reacted to the news, tweeting, "I believe that Kim Jong-un fully realises the great economic potential of North Korea and will do nothing to interfere or end it. He also knows that I am with him and does not want to break his promise to me. Deal will happen." Talks between the leaders stalled in February after a second summit failed to produce a deal on denuclearisation. Israel and Palestinian militants in the Gaza Strip have traded heavy rocket fire. Israel says it responded with tank and airstrikes after Palestinian militants fired 150 missiles into Israeli territory. This latest flare-up has seen 5 Palestinians, including at least 2 militants, killed and 2 Israeli soldiers wounded since Friday afternoon. Our World Affairs correspondent John Donnison explains more about this recent escalation.
It's the most serious flare-up for several months now on the Israel-Gaza border. Today, around about 150 rockets fired out of Gaza. Israel has responded with tank fire, airstrikes, and we know today that at least 1 Palestinian has been killed, according to health officials in Gaza. We've also seen houses damaged on the Israeli side where rockets have crashed into them. A lot of those rockets were shot down. It's always difficult with these escalations to say when did it start, to pick the moment when it started. But yesterday we had these Friday protests on the boundary. We had 2 Israeli soldiers injured but when Palestinians opened fire. Then 2 Palestinian militants killed, 2 Palestinian civilians killed. But as I say, the most serious escalation now for several months.
John Donnison. A plane with 143 people on board slid off a runway and into a river in Jacksonville, Florida, as it tried to land during a thunderstorm. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office released photographs showing the Boeing 737 resting in shallow water and fully intact. The chartered flight was carrying naval personnel from Guantanamo Bay. 21 people were hurt, none seriously. The Al-Aqsa Mosque in Bosnia-Herzegovina is reopening 25 years after it was completely destroyed during the Bosnian War. The mosque was bombed in 1992 and took 15 years to rebuild with the help of both Bosnian and Turkish architects and artists. It was built in the 11th century and considered one of the most valuable buildings of Oriental culture in the Balkans. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And that's all from me, Lucy E. Gray on Twitter if you want to get in touch. Bye-bye.